Okay, today we're going to show a C phrase over a moderately large database. This is the Crunchbase data that was released in 2014. So we have persons, companies, investors, and then various information related. So like the milestones associated with these objects. So up here you can see the tables. So now we see the tables that we can actually click on. And when we click on them, then it goes to the search bar. So if we submit the query, then what we get here is we get the answer. So it took a little time, but it gave us the 40 of the roughly 200,000 companies. So it's again, like I said, it's a moderately large database. So if we continue on here, what we can do is we can show that we're going to do a little bit more searching. So let's go here and let's just get the categories. So these are the different categories that each company can potentially have. So what we'll do here is we'll just look for the companies that are of type, say, fashion here. Okay, so this right here will give us the fashion companies, and looks like there's 563 of them. And we can just get rid of we can add, in fact, here an additional type, and that'll give us a set value here. So we can also maybe potentially do the fashion and the, let's see here, and the news. Yeah, so when we submit that, then this is in real time here, and it gives us companies that are of either of those categories. All right, so now let's see what we're going to do. So we'll ask basically how many companies per category. So this will give us now a graph. So this shows us here the type of company and how many there are of them. Okay. And then we can whittle it down here. Let's just look at the particular profile for the country of Sweden. And then this gives us a sensitive, one that's, these are companies that are in the country code Sweden. And then just for a comparison here, we can show USA. Right, so those are the American companies across the category types. So let's see here. So what we're going to show now is kind of a bit more complicated question. So basically we want the names of the top ranked. So people who know from Crunchbase, all the different objects have a current ranking. So we want to get the names of the top 10 ranked people. So as of 2014, these were the people who came back as top ranked. And so some of them are recognizable. Actually, most of them are recognizable. And what's nice here is what we can do is we can show that we can make this sensitive to the different company categories. So for instance, what we say here is we say the top ranked people, and then we'll basically go who worked at a company, and then we'll actually get the company category. So like the top ranked people who worked at a company, and then we can go over here and then pick, like, for instance, the medical. And this one here is a little bit of this is kind of a false interpretation here, but this one at the top is the correct one. So, so here these people are more now confined to the medical field, to medical category. So that might be useful if you know the category you're going after. Here's nanotech, and then and that's a different list. These are people who had worked at a nanotech company, and that are the top 10 ranks. So if we just want to get the people, then what we do is we can just kind of pull that away, and then we'll actually get the people here, and then we can go in and we can actually tooltip over, for instance, the overview here, and then we can actually read a fuller description. We can also do like text searches over the overview. So there's just pretty much anything that you want to, any kind of question you want to construct, you can do it. It's very flexible, as I hope you can see. So let's just remove those word palettes. And then we'll go let's do another type of example here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get the names of investors. So now we're doing a different path here. Names of investors who invested in, we just do a completion here, invested in companies where the country code of the company is Sweden, And then now we're going to actually modify the country code of the investor as well. So this kind of shows, this will actually generate some ambiguity here. So these are some possible interpretations. Of course, the one we intended here. Well, let's try this one here. This is where the investors are from Sweden, though. So this is kind of not exactly what we were looking after, but it just shows that there's right here. It says names of investors, country code Sweden, who invested in country code USA. So that's the paraphrase there. But the one we actually wanted here was the investors in the country code of USA. Who invested in a country in Sweden here. So now we've gotten these are the names of companies from the USA, investment companies, who've invested in a Swedish company. So what we're going to do here now is we're just going to move this over here. So now we have them. Here are the list of all of them. And now if we actually want to go in and actually get the names of the companies, we want to actually look at the companies. So for instance, Sequoia Capital, who did they invest in the country of Sweden? So we'll basically say, okay, names of companies, country code Sweden, and then they received investment from investor with the name, and then we'll just kind of click here and have Sequoia Capital comes in, and then so then we have the names of the companies there. So there we are. So Klarna and Stardoll are the two that got Sequoia Capital funding, and then of course we can click on different ones here. We can basically search around. Okay, so True Ventures, who did they fund in Sweden? And a company called Narrative. Okay, so that shows that we just you can just kind of poke around here, kind of looking, of course, for the information that's relevant for you. And again, like I said, it's very, very flexible in terms of like there's an infinite number of questions you can compose here using this method here. So there's another thing I want to basically just quickly say here, and that is like if we look at it right here, we look at investors here. So right here, it's right here. We have the number of 40 as the max. Now let's just say that we're going to play a little dangerous here, and then we go up to like that'll take forever, right? If the row limit is set now to 20,000, and so if we now put this question in, it's going to take forever, but we can cancel it, and once we cancel it, then so this basically shows that there really is nothing. You're never going to time out if things are taking way too long. Just cancel the question and try to repose it, or set a different row limit. So that just shows that you have that kind of capability. So just to kind of conclude here, this is data that the Crunchbase released. That's kind of just open data that from a longer period ago. But in principle, it could be applied to the current Crunchbase data. But this is mostly just to show that C-phrase can again practically be worked over a larger database with a fairly complicated schema. I mean, I think that I'm sure there are much more complicated databases out there, but this is at least showing that it can scale up to a reasonably sized and complex database. So thank you for your attention, and please contact us if you have some data that you want us to build a C-phrase interface over. Thank you very much.